Welcome to our little podcast, Paige Powers. How are you doing? Okay, so what's this podcast called? It's called A Little Too Quiet, and it's the Ferndale Library Podcast, and it's brought to you by the Friends of the Ferndale Library. My name is Jeff, and I'm joined by Emma.
Hi.
Who has been bringing lots of authors to the podcast, including Paige Powers. Paige, welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I feel so welcomed into Michigan through this podcast since I've been gone for so long. I grew up close to Ferndale, and so it's full circle.
Oh, that's so great. And so you are currently out around the Brooklyn area, right?
I am. I moved here 5 or 6 years ago.
Okay.
Did you get to go to Taylor and Travis's wedding?
No, I did not.
Different borough.
I do not live anywhere around there, thank God.
So, author of The Borrow a Boyfriend Club, and they were roommates. And then But I Hate Him, your third novel. Congrats on all of that. Emma, tell the listeners about Paige. You introduced me to Paige.
Yeah, Paige is a New York Times best-selling author, also USA Today best-selling author. I discovered their book, and they were roommates.
That was the one?
That was the one.
Uh-huh.
And then I was so excited because he came to Michigan, to Literati.
Oh, in Ann Arbor.
In Ann Arbor. And I've just been shooting my shot for the podcast lately.
Okay, that's great.
And I was so excited when Paige expressed interest.
Yeah, that's right.
And I did say you can say no, because I know I'm putting you on the spot, and if you say no, you might feel bad, but you can say no. But this book, I do have to share a fun story, and I think I told Paige this when I went to the signing.
And they were roommates?
And they were roommates. They were roommates on my staff pick, and one of our regulars took it, and then she came in and said, Emma, this book made me feel like I needed to go cuss you out, like cuss out my local librarian, because she was so obsessed with it. And she was like spitting out all these like manga tropes that she was like kind of comparing it to. And I don't know manga that much. I know Witch Hat Atelier and Spy Family, but I was like, I love your excitement and enthusiasm. And she was so giddy about it. He's also coming out with an adult romance.
Oh, yes. This is Reins and Restraint, I think.
Mm-hmm. Cowboys.
Excellent.
Yes.
And just to show
cowboy romance.
But I hate
not the straight kind, the gay kind.
Yes, indeed. And that is for the adult readers. And the first 3 books that we mentioned are for YA. And we should mention But I Hate Him is officially out, Paige, August 25th. Is that?
Yes. Can't believe it.
All right. Well, I think the only thing left to know is everything. We want to hear your story, Paige, and your writing life, how and when you got into writing, and what I have to imagine is a long road to getting published.
And how does it feel to be a psychic with the hockey romance trend?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. I know. It's like it's either a blessing or a curse. I'm not sure which one yet. I sold that book 2 years ago. So, I mean, the book was probably out. I had not read, I'm not sure exactly when it was released, but the show, was not really a cultural phenomenon by any means. I did see, though, that straight hockey romance was really picking up, though. So that was like the one thing I was really firm about with my publisher was like, I got to do this hockey thing. Like something's telling me. So I guess it was kind of like a psychic thing. I don't know. But I think I was also just looking at market trends to make it more boring. I prefer the psychic intel a lot more.
Yeah, because that was around the era of like Icebreaker, I think, like going popular.
Yes.
Sure.
So it's like your spidey senses tingled to tap into that.
Yeah. And it was so popular in adult romance. And there was a little bit in YA, not a lot. And my big thing is the reason why I'm delving into adult books now, but my number one thing will always be for teens, because I was such a reluctant reader growing up, and I didn't find out that cool books existed until college, really. And so my number one priority with my books is like convincing kids that they're not kids, they're pretty much adults, sure. But you know what I mean. And so when I was seeing all these trends in adult, I was like, where is this in young adults? if this is doing so well, let's bring it here. And then hopefully those teens will then grow into adults and then see those hockey romances. I love to see a trajectory more than just, like a divide, which often happens in those two genres. So trying.
Excellent. We're going to get all into But I Hate Him. But I just want to hear more of the origin stories and how you got to the Borrow Boyfriend Club.
So that place is Ann Arbor that the book takes place in. So I was going to University of Michigan at the time of, I had just graduated when I wrote it, but I was still living around the area trying to figure out what the hell to do with my life because I had gone to the music school. And
what instrument? What instrument?
What was that?
What instrument?
Oh, it was technically piano, but I was doing their music composition and technology program. So it was more like I wanted to do video game music.
I know, he's cool.
Wow.
I won't hold, and I try not to hold it against him that he went to U of M.
Yeah, we talked about this briefly.
I briefly randomly gave random lectures at the U of M School of Music. It's a long story. Anyway, tangent.
Very cool.
Tangent over. Keep going.
I think it's so interesting to talk about because every author I know, not to keep running away from your question, every author I know did not study literature, did not get an MFA in English. They studied, some of them are like, politics or whatever. A lot of politics, actually. So I guess that's a smart thing. But I'm music. A lot of people studied arts in general. And I feel like all of it sort of crosses and blends. And you just have to be an artist in some way in order to be an author. And I would not have changed my degree by any means. It made me just such a well-rounded creator. And so I just am obsessed with the way I did things. If I had paid for my degree, maybe that's another story. I did get a full ride. So.
All right.
And not because I was smart, it's because I was poor. But I wanted to start writing books because I thought, I'll write music for video games. I started doing that. And then I realized I wasn't having fun. I wasn't loving it the way that I loved, the video game music I grew up with, Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy, Legend of Zelda.
Yeah.
And then I realized over time, like, I'm not obsessed with the music. I am obsessed with the story that the music tells me about what's going on in the game. And because a lot of the work I was getting was like commercials and like phone games, nothing with like stories. And so I really just did a hard pivot and I was like, I'm going to try to do this myself. I can't make a video game by myself, but I can write books. And that's when I started learning more about books, finding young adult books, things like that. I was really bad at writing for a long, long time. I think everyone is. So I wrote 3 other books before the Borrow Boyfriend Club. And I had a lot of help through like online merit-based mentorship programs where authors who are already in the field will sort of mentor you if they vibe with your book and help you out, try to help you figure out this weird, mysterious industry. And then, eventually over time, one of them stuck. So very thankful for that.
I just have to say, I just discovered the UK cover of the Borrow a Boyfriend Club.
Mm-hmm.
I love this one it's not even showing me, but I love this one so much. Nothing against the US one, but I love this one.
I think it's more reflective of the book for sure. Yeah.
I like that they're like sports cards.
Wow.
Yeah. Like trading cards.
Yeah, that's not sports cards. That was
the US and the UK covered whole situation. If listeners don't know, they almost always change the cover for the UK because the markets are so different. For But I Hate Him, the cover will be the same. But
and they were roommates different?
It is different, yes.
Okay.
No. It looks more like an adult romance, I think was what they were trying to go for with that. But my readership is not adult.
Would you guys be okay? This is so unorthodox and I apologize. If I stepped out for 90 seconds to take a dumb photo for social media? I promise.
Go for it.
I promise I'll be right back. Keep recording.
I will. Jeff, I don't know how any of the buttons work, so.
No, keep catching it.
But I do love the And They Were Roommates cover. It is, first of all, I love pink, so anything pink is already a win for me.
Yeah, it's very red and pink and heartsy, over the top camp, which I love. And the artist is so talented. She's quite famous on Instagram. She does a lot of cons, conventions.
I probably
fandom
followed
stuff.
her. Oh yeah, the And
Yeah,
They Were
probably.
Roommates, like the UK one, is kind of trying to give like, I don't know why it wants to give me red, white, and royal blue, but it kind of does.
Yes. Yeah.
So I know a lot of authors don't get a lot of say in their covers most of the time. Do you get any say? Is it very collaborative, or do you just kind of say, here's an idea, wing it?
For And They Were Roommates and But I Hate Him, with this artist I was talking to you about, that was all my publisher and my editor, who is a trans man as well.
Beautiful.
He knew the artist, did not know her personally, but knew of her, and directed the whole thing, and it was amazing. I had 0 notes. I think I got lucky, but I'm with a publisher who's mostly gay people, so I never take that for granted. I think that's very hard to come by.
Yeah, and
So, they all grew up in the same fandoms as me and you and
Yeah.
all the people listening right now. And then with others, I mean, even with my adult book that's coming out next year, I had a bit of say, but again, I just didn't really feel a need to. I think the more that people are hired from the same backgrounds and age group as me, the more it's not really an issue. If you have like a 50-year-old white woman trying to figure out your cover, it's going to be
it's totally
a different
different
story.
than like having, yeah, and I feel like they are able to capture the vision a bit more.
Mhm.
They killed it with this, because I have some author friends who have had a very different experience where they're like, I kind of hate my cover. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I feel like that's something authors should have more autonomy over, publishing.
Yeah, I definitely see the sales side, because it's like, oh, if the author wants something and they think they're a great artist and they're not, it's going to blow everything apart.
Yeah.
But I also have seen the ugliest fonts ever on books where I'm like, I didn't even know that font could have existed, let alone did.
Well,
So you never know.
there's also like a thing going on right now where I've seen a lot of like, and there's this one indie bookstore that does like fraternal twin book covers, and they compare a lot of recent releases where a lot of the covers just kind of look like you like move some things around and it's basically the same. Do you find it easy to go between your writing YA and writing adult, or is it like you have to like, I have to go be in a different room, I have to sit at a different table? Like, is it an easy switch?
I've been getting that question a lot lately, and personally, I don't think I've had to switch that much, but at least I thought. I did just start writing my next YA coming out in 2028. Yes,
Yeah.
which is due in 2 weeks. and
That's
I have to write
crazy.
most of it, but it was actually.
Be right back.
Hello, Jeff. It was. I think I've had to. It sucks getting older.
Yeah.
I always said that once I get old, I gotta stop writing YA, because I don't want to be one of those people that's trying to write YA and saying all of these words that kids are like rolling their eyes at. Because I remember doing that when I was a kid, and I feel like I'm starting to get there. I'm 30,
I don't know.
but I'm also chronically on TikTok. But that was something on my mind when writing today. I was like, oh, I can't say that. Like, oh, this is harder because I have to be like, I can't write naturally like I
Yeah.
can with adult now. And it's like, oh, because I'm an adult now. This sucks.
I think that it's like interesting because it's like, I feel like books now are just starting to include like TikTok, but TikTok has been around for like, I think like 6 years now, and I'm just starting to notice it. And I'm like, whoa, that's weird. And I think like there's the lag, which I feel like should give cushion. I will say the one day I read a book that has like the word like skibbity or like something like that in it, I think maybe the day I retire.
Yeah, I included in the Borrow Boyfriend Club, I did include like Among Us Sus to be cringe. The intent
Yeah.
was to be cringe. And there were several people that were like, I DNF'd this book because they said this. And I was like, hey, so like media literacy is so important, you guys.
Yeah.
I was not.
Well, if I know if it's supposed to be like intentionally cringy or if it's something I know that's like supposed to be silly, I don't think I have a problem with it. First of all, it's really hard for me to dislike a book. So I'm one of
Yeah.
those people who's just kind of throwing 4 stars everywhere. unless I
Love
like
it.
absolutely hate it. So that's really, I don't know if there's ever been one line that has made me just be like, no, never reading this again. So that's really interesting to me.
I'm so sorry. I'm back.
No, it's okay. Welcome back.
We've been talking about covers. We've been talking about switching from YA to adult,
Okay, sure.
slang in books.
I wanted to hear, if I missed it, more just about getting to publishing and like how one overcomes some of the, inherent frustrations around that, because you said 4 other books in the time running up to that. Like, how do you keep the motivation going, and like, I don't know, things like that.
Yeah, and it's funny because my adult romance that's coming out, that was the 3rd adult romance I tried to sell. After being successful in young adult, people did not want my adult books. And so it doesn't end even once you do publish. And I think it's especially harder. I usually am not the type of person who says it's harder for me because I'm transgender or whatever it might be. It is true, but it's something I don't like to talk about. It's not something I try to think about a lot. Because I think there are so many wonderful people now working in publishing who are actively looking for those stories. But yeah, with the first one, I think that was kind of the last book I was gonna try, and I was gonna throw in the towel. I was really, I doubt that would have actually been the case. I think a year later I would have.
The suspense was there.
Yeah. But I think I wrote other books that weren't what I was good at. And I couldn't realize at the time I was trying to emulate a lot of the other authors I looked up to, which is natural. It's a way to learn. The first book that I sold, not only was it the first trans protagonist I had ever written, I was too insecure about my own identity. I just didn't think I had like the authority yet to write a trans character like that. And then once like I was like fully transitioned, I was like, hey, I need to stop being I think I have some right now. And then it was also the first rom-com I ever wrote. And I think I grew up really admiring comedy as its own art form. And it's just not something I think growing up as a woman too, you're always told women aren't funny and stuff like that. And so I just had a lot of this ingrained in me of like, well, I really appreciate comedy, but I doubt I could really do it and people take me seriously. And then people really thought it was funny. And even before I was writing books that were more like traumatic gay stories, which, those are kind of actually my favorite ones. I know people are kind of against those nowadays, but I think we need both equally, you know?
You need cathartic
and
stories.
I think there's something, people say that the way I do comedy and the way I do sort of like cartoon logic in books is very new or it's not very common. And so I stuck out amongst the crowd. So I think finding that thing that you are just really inherently talented at within your own writing outside of writing itself can be a really great asset to just keep in the back of your pocket.
Important though, but you were drawing upon other areas of influence in your life, so that still came from something pure and something from your heart. It wasn't like you were putting it on. So that's great.
Right.
I
exactly.
like tell us about where the inspiration for the story behind the Borrow a Boyfriend Club came.
I know it's a mouthful. I was submitting it to Pitch Wars, which is no longer in existence, but it was a mentorship program, a merit-based one again. And if you were to be chosen, an author would mentor you for 4 months, and then you would be presented in front of agents. And even still, after I wrote this book, it took me quite a while to still get an agent. It was that book, but it was like a very big deal. And a lot of people get snapped up right away within a week too, but I was kind of like a months and months sort of situation. But the idea, I really can't remember. It was obviously wanting to write a trans protagonist first, but then also I still had complicated feelings of feeling like I wasn't trans enough. And I think everyone goes through that phase. Literally was on testosterone, but like was not trans enough. And so I kind of wanted, and I felt I will be so honest, because I think we're not supposed to say this stuff. But my God, when you're a kid and you're going through second puberty, like I felt ugly. I felt unwanted. I felt unloved. Like I would never find love. And so I wanted to have a trans boy be in the center of a situation where they're literally being asked to like be borrowed for dates and love. Because I felt like that's where I wanted to be like that main character someday, where I felt like, I mean, at the end, he's also, you know, like I'm blah, 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 I can't do this. But at the end of the book, he's like, yeah, I can do this. And he was kind of like my goal. He was my inspiration, even though he was 16, like he was who I wanted to be. So I kind of technically wrote that one for myself. Nowadays, I kind of write most books for my readers, but that one was more selfish for sure.
Well, and I feel like there's always a book like that. Like when we were talking with Jackie Kelly last week, she was kind of saying everything comes back to you is like that for her. So I feel like that's like a universal.
This one's for me.
Yeah, like there's always one.
But it's coming from the heart again, so
Yeah.
the relatability is going to be there. It's
Yeah.
going to be baked into it.
I have a fun fact about And They Were Roommates if you don't have any more questions, because I don't think you know this.
Okay, no, go for it. Yeah. So this is and They Were Roommates comes out in 2025. So this
Yeah.
is the next book.
You want to know what Paige did with his dedication?
What?
The most romantic gesture I think I've ever seen.
Oh,
He proposed to his partner.
oh my goodness.
I pulled up the picture from your
my
post.
goodness. Wow.
And I don't think I've ever seen this done before, and I think it tops everything. So can you talk about it?
Can we talk about it?
Sure. I mean, I met my partner through school, just like Charlie and Jasper, and she's also a literary agent, so her life is also books. So it does feel a little self-centered in when you just like look at it straight on, like, oh, it's my book, my launch. But it did make sense for her in our relationship. Yeah, it was. She said yes, so did not fall through there. Thank God.
But was it a matter of like the book launch and she opens it, or like what's that like?
Yes,
Like, hand her a
I was doing my
copy?
launch with Casey McQuiston, and they
That's so iconic right there.
set up like the question for me, I think. And I just made sure that she hadn't looked at the book yet. So I did get final copies in a week beforehand, and I took an X-Acto knife and I cut out the dedication page because I knew she would like go rifling on her own. So I put the book on her desk in her face so that she wouldn't go looking through my stuff because it's like hiding in plain sight, you know? And then she was satisfied with that. So she didn't know. She had no clue. So I can't believe we pulled it off.
That's everything.
Emma's beaming right now.
That is so cute.
Wow.
An example of if he wanted to, he would.
Mm-hmm.
I also love your caption for it was proposed in my book's dedication last week, and now I'm unfortunately French fiance.
Yes. Tragedy.
Exactly. Oh my God. But no, I had to tell you that fun fact because that's like one of my favorite things about it.
So wonderful. Let's talk about And They Were Roommates and where that story comes from. And this is where, can we call this a second chance romance?
Yeah.
Style-wise?
Yeah.
Tell us everything about this one.
I started writing this one when my agent started sending the Borrow Boyfriend Club to publishers. So I wrote And They Were Roommates a long time ago, 2020/2021. And it came out in 2025. So it was about 4 years. And it was a very long process. That book, my editor mostly does high fantasy novels and then also my books. And he said that and I probably talked about this when Emma was at my event, but he said that my world building section for And Their Roommates was double as long as the one for the high fantasy novel he was simultaneously working on, just because this book is so camp. It really stretches reality thin. It's a boarding school with a lot of strange rules, a lot of places. It has a fantasy map on the interior because
See, but it gives the vibes of like, do you know what Cranbrook is? You grew up here. You know Cranbrook?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
If this is what, as someone who went to like Catholic school and not Cranbrook, this is what I imagine Cranbrook to be like.
Okay, yes, that's a good example. I also went to Interlochen Center for the Arts for a summer, and both And Their Roommates and But I Hate Him pull from my experiences there in different ways. But even like the Jesus lattes they get in the book And Their Roommates is a concept from Interlochen. That's cool. A real thing they have there. So that was part of it. And then the roommate, I genuinely just went through, I look at just popular tropes before I start writing. And I see which one excites me. I think every book, no matter how avant-garde it claims to be, relies on some sort of beloved concept. And so I try to just look at that and see where I go from there.
Talk about formulating characters, and, does it always come down to how important it is to develop the two characters who are going to, tell us about that experience.
So that's a big thing that my agent had to actually teach me, even after I was already signed and had sold a book already, was that, yes, the plot is very important, but even more important, arguably, is that the two characters, usually people say they have to be opposite of each other. They have to have a dynamic that's like Grumpy Sunshine. But my agent was like, no, they have to learn something from one another.
Yeah.
And that was huge for And They Were Roommates. They're both so flawed as characters. And that's my number one thing, is writing, especially love interests that are so unlikable, where the reader is like, there's no way I can like this guy. And then through the book, it's just such a rewarding feeling as an author to see someone hate someone and then understand them and find that they love them in the end. There's nothing better, in my opinion. And I don't think a lot of people choose to do it because it's a risk. A lot of people put my book down, but with formulating characters, it was a mixture of that. And then I really wanted Jasper, the love interest in And They Were Roommates, to be extremely flamboyant and over the top, and Howl from Howl's Moving Castle-esque. That was something I really wanted to do.
That does come across really well. The Howl from Howl's Moving Castle.
My favorite Miyazaki film. I'm going to say it. Have you seen it? It's my favorite Miyazaki.
I've seen it once a while ago, but I was a Ponyo girly.
Oh, sure. Okay. Yep. Fair.
Okay. I haven't seen that one. I've seen almost all of them, but Ponyo.
It's character development is huge, though.
Random lore drop for the Ponyo thing. The American voices were Noah Cyrus and Frankie Jonas, and they've recently reconnected and made a song together. And they have matching Ponyo and Sosuke tattoos.
Aww.
I love that.
So it holds up. I would still recommend it.
Sure.
I bet. Yeah.
I'm not throwing shade at like other genres like thrillers, but like, or what have you, but there's these other, books out there where it's like, if it's so plot driven and your character is like a detective or something, again, no shade, but that reader's coming to that experience to like watch this character figure something out or solve clues or be MacGyver or something. You're not really, but these are books where inherent to the story is their emotions and their desires, and that has to be deeper than detective stuff. And so you really have to get to know these people. You really do. You got to know their wants and everything. And you have to and I don't know. Wait, Emma, what do you love most about reading romance? Is it deciding whether or not you like the characters?
No.
I
don't have to like them. But as long as I like them in the end. The thing I like about romance is like the happily ever after, because I'm someone who I don't want to read a book that's going to make me cry. Mm-hmm. I cry too much regularly.
Sure.
So I don't want my books to make me cry.
Fair.
It's very rare.
So true.
But and this was just delightful. This was delightful and fun and lovely. And I read it, I think, in like less than 2 days, because it was my first book of this year too.
Oh, nice. Speaking of crying, I was curious to hear, because these are rom-coms, so they have some calm in them. Can you tell us about balancing the comedy elements into your writing, and what it's like now, three books deep, kind of in that lane?
Yes. I think if anything, my comedy is the biggest difference between YA and adult, going back to your previous question. For my romance for adults coming out next year, it's Cowboy Romance. So I assumed when I was speaking to this editor for the first time that, she asked me, do you see this as a romance or a rom-com? And I answered, well, given the current state of the political climate in America and blah, 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 and they're, in the Midwest and in the middle of nowhere, I will try to respect the fact that this is serious and blah, 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 and blah, 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 and definitely more of a romance. And she was like, so that was the wrong answer. We want this to be funny.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, great, because that would be actually what I want to do. And I'm glad that I've had people remind me, like, no, this is what you're good at. No matter what is happening in the world, like, remember that. And that the more that the world gets weird, the more it's needed, this kind of stuff.
Oh my gosh.
You could also have seriousness for a topic, but also like crack a joke. And I feel like the perfect example of that is my "Don't honk at me, my dad is dead" bumper sticker.
Yeah.
Which also, fun fact, at the event, there was another car in the Literati like parking garage that had the same bumper sticker. And I wanted to figure out who it was, and I was talking really loudly at the event to find them. And then I went back to my car, and she was backing out, and I literally ran at her saying, "Wait!" And she's like an indie author from Ohio.
What?
And she's like, "I was gonna leave bookmarks in your car, but I didn't want to be weird." I was like, "No, be weird."
Your life, Emma.
I love that. Yeah, exactly. And
But
I
yeah,
think even with why I get sillier with it. But yeah, I guess that's it, is that I don't really, I'm sure it's, training and practicing writing over the years. It doesn't feel like I have to think about it, but I'm sure at some point I did, and I just don't remember. But it comes really naturally now, which is great.
That's great.
And you always need more whimsy.
You always. And so if it has come naturally, tell us about getting started with But I Hate Him and where that story and inspiration and idea came from. And, did you feel some momentum there? Did you get off of that proverbial starting line fairly easy? What was it like?
Yes and no. This was a learning curve for me, not with writing, but with working with a publisher. I think after having a really successful book, I wanted to make sure that the next book would still be just as successful. I didn't want to go down. I wanted to go up. And so I pitched a couple ideas. I spent a long time on them, and my publisher said no to both. And then they kept saying no, where I was like, okay, you come up with something, because I don't want to keep disappointing you. And they came up with, the summer camp concept and the breaking the love interest heart concept. And I was like, okay, I've never been a summer camp person personally. And I was like, I guess I'll trust my publisher. And I'm a little concerned that it's not marketable, so I'll add in this hockey player. And I wrote it, and I wouldn't say I regret it, because it's turned in. I made it so weird. Everything I touched, they're like, even if we came up with a full outline for you to write, we know it would turn into something so weird in camp. So it's still, I'm proud for it to be in my collection. But with my next two books I sold to them, they were all me. And I made sure not to involve them this time. And when they said no, I kept trying, and I kept tweaking little things. And I don't think it's not necessarily that I think I'm a diva about it. It's just that it's more like I'm worried about the market and capitalism and trends. Like, I really care about that stuff. I write in a very commercial, because especially I'm writing trans characters. And I think about it like, if a book with a trans protagonist flops, the industry will see that, and they'll think, oh, all trans books are not marketable. It's not my burden to bear, but it's one I've chosen to bear. So I want them to be as successful as possible. And so I'm thinking all of these things all the time. So I really, I think this book is still going to do well, fingers crossed. But
that's what I'm going to ask.
Yeah, it was an interesting process. It was not my usual one.
Are you going to tour?
I learned.
But I Hate Him?
I am not.
You just got off of tour, so that's why I asked.
Yes, they figured I talked about both at my tour, so there's no point for me to go again. But I will be doing something in New York, like always, and I will be going to Philly for another event at a Barnes & Noble in Cherry Hill. But that's about it. I'll be at some festivals throughout the summer, but it's very chill despite the chaos of the new book. I think I'll mostly be online for this one.
That Barnes & Noble's cool. I've been in that one.
Oh, yeah? I haven't been.
It's one of the things in Philly that I did enjoy.
Well, this might be an intensive, harder, longer question, but it seems like you've been indirectly or directly referencing a lot of elements of the pressure you've got to work through.
Mm-hmm.
I have to imagine that's hard. How do you balance that beyond hopefully hydration and enough sleep and self-care? Because that could be a lot on the creative process.
It's funny because, I mean, with And Their Roommates, it was really hard.
Yeah.
I took every comment very personally. I felt a need to look at every comment online because I felt responsible for it. And something shifted at one point where there became so many comments and so many people talking about me that now it's almost like none of it exists. It's very weird. So now it's actually completely fine. Like even just this morning, my friend DM'd me like a tweet and I couldn't see it. And she was like, oh, it's because they went private because we were all attacking this person for like saying that my book was for Harry Potter fan fiction. And apparently it was like blown. It had like tens of thousands of likes. My illustrator got involved in this whole thing. I didn't see it at all. And I couldn't even see it even if I wanted to because that person went private because I got too scared. So like, I think that used to be my biggest pressure and now it's completely changed. As for, doing well and continuing to be successful in a more like commercial sense, I don't know. I think I have found very good publishers who support me, and there were bumps along the way to get there. And now I feel confident in the people. My agent is amazing. She is like a straight white woman, but she has a kid who's trans, and she mostly represents Black authors, Black women, and then like also me. So she is amazing. Really, the pressure really diminishes when you surround yourself around people you trust, which is hard to find, but it's so like your community is number one, in my opinion, huge. Of being an author, 100%.
And not looking at Threads and or Twitter probably is good.
Mm-hmm.
Threads is a scary place. It's almost scarier than what Twitter was.
Weird, man.
Oh yeah,
I deleted it because I was so scary.
Not on there.
No,
it's scary.
It's really weird. I want to hear.
Jeff's shaking his head.
Just more about developing the characters for this latest book as well, because we heard a lot about And They Are Roommates. But
for But I Hate Him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Beyond just the hockey, but like, let's get to know them. Tell us more. And
of course, no, and I do think I had a lot of fun because I was not confident at first with the book. I added in other tropes that completely conflict with the others, and it's become this hilarious. So like, I think a premise that's done really well on Instagram is the fact that, the main character, it's academic rivals, technically. That was what my publisher gave me. And so I have it set up in the first chapter where the main character goes to this really high profile academic competition. He thinks he's going to win. And then this himbo hockey player beats him. And he's like, what are you talking about? And that's kind of the setup for the whole book. And I love that. I love when, especially when they're, the love interest and someone just doesn't even have to try and they're just so successful. And you're like, I hate you. I've been trying this all my life.
That's what love can do sometimes, is humble you, I guess, right? That's huge.
Yes. And the love interest is not like my others so far. He's actually quite likable, but kind of over the top likable, where everyone likes him to the point where it's kind of uncanny. So I try to play with that a little bit. But I will promise you that you will like the love interest right away. Okay. Unfortunately.
Okay.
I think that's okay. I also have to say, just me back on covers. This one at first glance, before I realized he's wearing like a varsity jacket, I thought this was going to be like Regency.
Oh, because
of the collar
for it.
Oh, interesting.
And I don't think I ever until I looked at it closely, I was like, oh. And then when you talked about it at your event, you were like, yeah, they play hockey. He plays hockey. Starts at it has the summer camp element. I'm like, wait a minute. And then I got it. It took me a second, but I was like, oh, he's not wearing like the poofy Billy shirt.
And so part of this is the main character is going to try to make this rival fall in love with him and then breaks heart. That's like
yes,
that's the game plan.
So that hopefully he's too emotionally distraught to win next time.
What a crazy plan.
That is
honestly.
That is literally playing with your heart. That's a whole different game. Said, I don't know where I'm going with that pun.
That's okay.
You know?
I heard game and then you said playing.
Plan,
It was a good try.
This is offsides. I've got it. Or our hearts don't get to wear pads.
Oh.
Like shoulder pads. Anyway. So this is coming out August 25th. Anything else about this one that distinguishes it from the previous two that readers will know? Or anything about this one that...
Or Reins and Restraint, too.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Let's step into that one next. Yes, of course.
I was like, Jeff, don't
Yes.
Don't leave out the Cowboys.
Tell us about the Cowboys.
I had so much fun writing this one. I have fun writing all of them, but because it's cowboys and it's such a different world from what I understand, it felt like writing fantasy kind of. It's contemporary, you know, they're not cowboys from the 1800s. They're cowboys now. But I had to do a lot of horse research, so much research. I had to have my best friend who lives, not my best friend, sorry. Me saying best friend and I've like spoken to her twice. But she lives on a ranch herself, so she read for me, and it was a lot of work. But I think there's something, so all of my books so far up until this book have been very like, well, they can be together, no problem. But with this one, it's kind of like, it's not necessarily, you might assume they can't be together because it's like religious or conservative or whatever, but it's actually just because they're technically teacher and student. They're like similar age, but the love interest is scared to ride horses, and then the main character accidentally gets hired to teach him how to ride horses, also without really not knowing how to ride horses. So it just kind of is a bad situation all around. And it was very fun to write that, especially with adults and making them act like young adult kids in a sense.
Anything else particular about, I guess, adjusting your approach, style, voice for YA to adult?
It was the first time I was writing dual perspective, and now my next YA is also going to be dual POV, which is exciting. I never thought I was skilled enough to do that. It's so hard. You're basically writing two books in one. After writing the cowboy romance one, I feel like I'm finally there. We'll see what people think, but that was very fun. And one thing that was really funny was like writing like a cis man in one of the POVs was like really hard. I had to I don't know exactly what research I did for that, but I really had to think about it. Like, I gotta say brother a lot, you know?
What an interesting place to be, a cis man's brain.
And Lila Sage does a great job at it, who also writes cowboy romances, probably the most well-known, and she's a good friend of mine. And so I read a couple of her books and was like, wow, this actually sounds like a man and you're a woman. That's crazy.
That just made my brain explode a little bit. Wow. I'm so happy that you and Lila are friends. That's crazy. Because that's the first that was the first cowboy romance I ever read, was Done and Dusted.
Okay.
And I read it embarrassingly fast. And then I read 4 others the same week. I finished the ones that she had out, and then 2 Elsie Silvers.
Yeah, I think you read that in 24 hours.
I did something, but I went on a cowboy spree. So that's just the beginning of my cowboy romance journey and my current state of cowboy romance journey, being friends. That just I just had a little fangirl moment. I'm sorry.
Aw. Reins and Restraint.
It was very sweet because Lila actually, I don't know if she messaged me first. She followed me first, and then she loves, and they're roommates apparently. So she was nervous to talk to me. She has a shelf in her local indie bookstore that has my book there, Lila's favorites. I was like, this is so out of pocket. And I was like, well, I read your books to prepare for my cowboy romance. So I felt, and also you're really famous, so I didn't want to talk to you first. So we should probably talk then. We were like, yeah.
Emma is dizzy.
I met Lila I don't remember how long ago, she did an event with Jillian Meadows at Schuler's in West Bloomfield. And my friends and I had gotten like cowboy book club themed sweatshirts made, and we gave her one.
Oh, that's so sweet. I'm sure she loved that.
That was like another fangirl moment there for me.
Love it.
So what I'm saying is I need to figure out how to get another one made. And when you come back to Michigan, maybe for Reins and Restraint.
Well, if you want to take a trip to New York City, Lila and I are doing an event together, most likely. That's going to also have be a queer line dancing class at the same time. And Casey might also be there. We'll see. But Casey's partner will be teaching the class, so might be worth it.
Wait, when is that? Emma, wait, might. When's that happening?
How do we get me to New York?
That is April 27th, I believe. Whenever the book comes out, it'll be the same day the book releases.
You've got time to plan.
I have time to plan. And our sick bank's just refilled.
That's like 8 months from now.
That is, and you know what? That's just like the appropriate amount of time it takes to plan.
Perfect.
For me.
Perfect.
And if you ever want a romance bookstore, we do also have one across the street to visit.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, which one is that?
Love and Other Books.
Oh, cool. Okay.
I'm just throwing that out there. No selfish reason behind it at all.
Indeed.
Ever.
But I Hate Him is out in late August. Anything I did want to ask, since that's the next one down the line, and readers that's the next one they can get to. Anything you're particularly excited for about this book in general?
For But I Hate Him, you said?
Yeah. In general, or just something you're excited for readers to experience in it?
I do think it's a book where you really don't know what's going to happen next, because it's so... I mean, even the premise itself is like, this guy's going to try to romance this other guy to break his heart. Like, that's kind of out of pocket. And everything that happens in order to try to make that happen gets more and more out of pocket. So maybe the characters aren't as out there like Jasper was and the characters and their roommates, but the plot, I think, is more chaotic than And Their Roommates' plot was.
Okay.
So it will balance, I think, for people.
Nice.
And I think people are liking it. I think I have not looked at any reviews for this book on purpose, but it's going to be, if you want to get it for free, it is a SLJ pick, which means it's being really supported by libraries, and it will probably be in most of them. So go and get your copy for free. Don't spend money on me. I'm not worth it.
Nah.
I will be buying my own copy.
Excellent.
To add to my little Well, it was also funny when I went to the Literati event, I forgot I got a paperback, so I brought my hardcover, and then I was like, now I have two. So now I just have to start building the shelf.
Okay. So
the altar.
Exactly. With the perfume I won. Because I was the only person who knew about Bye Sister. I think I told you that story the day after it happened, Jeff.
Yep.
Is that also because we're getting old?
Yeah.
Well, no, I feel like everybody in that, though I know the people in my row should have also known about it. I was just deep in the YouTube trenches of 2016.
Emma's an old soul, though, so.
You say that, but later today you're going to say somebody's name, and I'm going to go, who's that? And you're going to go, Emma now!
But you can never know. You just can never know with you, Emma. Wait, so listeners are going to hear this podcast just a little bit before the book is ready to be held in one's hands, but someone can hold And They Were Roommates. And I'd love to hear Emma's biggest thing to recommend about that book. What would be your hot take there, your Kirkus blurb? Why should they go find that book, Emma? No pressure that the author's literally in front of you. What did you love most about it is actually what I'm asking.
Just like the absurd antics of and being in a boarding school. First of all, that is like Valentine themed.
Sure.
The absurd antics of dealing with that in secret rooms and love letters, and also trying to keep your together at this school. Because there's also I'm gonna keep going off on tangents if you let me, but
That's fine.
there's a legacy aspect of it that Charlie has to live up to. So there's just it's whimsical, stressful, and cute.
I love that.
Yeah.
All of those three.
Yeah.
I want stress set off by cute.
And you get that.
I love that.
So you need to go find it on the shelf and go get it and read it.
I'm stressed, but in a cute way.
Yeah. That's kind of what it is, honestly.
That is the perfect blurb, honestly. That's, I think, how most people feel. I'm stressed, but in a
So
cute
for
way.
the next print of And They Were Roommates, we just put that like either on like the back cover, top.
Right.
Rolling Stone did say something hilarious about And Their Roommates, and I'm going to find it because it's on my... The plot feels cooked up in a Mad Libs factory. But they were like complimenting it. It was like the top 20 romances of all time.
Like,
so
I mean, what a compliment.
Mm-hmm.
I know, right?
But I feel like that's to keep books fun and funky and fresh. The Mad Libs. That's what I feel like. That's a good way to plot a book.
Perfect. Paige, a pleasure. Thanks for hanging out.
This was so fun.
Thanks for chatting. This has been great.
Thank you for having me, and I hope someday I can visit you all over there.
I know that you will.
Manifesting.
I think you will. I know that you will.
I'm annoying enough to try and email publishers, agents, and everybody.
This is true.
No,
but in
please,
a cute
because
way.
that's the only way we get sent anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will. I can be. If it's one thing I'm good at, it's being annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for agreeing with me, Jeff.
Thanks again, Paige Powers, for joining us on the podcast. We'll have links to your website, more information. And that's the show. Emma, last thoughts before we wind up and go back out into the world?
I don't want to go back out there. It's too bright. We have like very nice ambient lighting in here. And then as soon as you open the door, hospital lighting.
Oh, no. But I Hate Him, out August 25th. Paige Powers, thanks again for hanging out. This has been A Little Too Quiet. It's the Ferndale Library Podcast. It's brought to you by the Friends of the Ferndale Library. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe. Support your local bookstores. Support indie authors everywhere. And keep reading romance books. And support libraries. I think that's...
And support trans authors.
Absolutely.
And trans people always.
Thank you. Yes. Paige, thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening, everybody.